I thought of you with love today, but that is nothing new. I thought about you yesterday and days before that too. I think of you in silence. I often speak your name.
To have someone like Arnie Barb involved in Dreaming Inside is not only a necessity, but it's an actual blessing.
The inmates respect Arnie Barb. Without her and everyone that's been involved with the Black Wallabies, the inmates have always had respect with them. But I think with Arnie Barb, I think there's a real connection. Being an elder and being a person with passion about Aboriginal literature, and she's a clever lady.
So Arnie Barb is a crucial component of the program. She turns up, twice a year without fail. She travels all that way. I mean, I think they just felt very grateful that someone would care so much.
She's also a really great lover of literature, and she's a storyteller herself.
Oh, I love Honey Barb. She's beautiful. Yeah, every time she sees me, she gives me a big kiss and a hug, and yeah, I love her. She's great. Yeah, I look forward to seeing her when she comes down. Yeah.
My name's Billy McPherson, and I'd like to acknowledge that today I'm standing on the land of the Gadigal people who are part of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Ngana Barangarai means Black Wallaby. It's a grassroots Aboriginal program that collects poetry and other creative writing from First Nation inmates in Junie Correctional Centre. Ngana Barangarai has published the writing in books called Dreaming Inside for the last 8 years. This is the story of an extraordinary project and the deadly woman who started it, Auntie Barbara Nicholson.
I was born over here just around the corner a little bit from where we are right now, at Kermaditchy on the Aboriginal Reserve there. Humpies, dirt floor, walls made out of whatever you could retrieve from the tip. I'm a depression baby, so we copped it both ways, the depression plus the Aboriginal stuff involved in that, so times were pretty tough.
Professor Anita Heiss is the lifetime ambassador of the Indigenous Literacy Foundation.
In Wiradjuri, the word for elders is Bulga Bulga Galang, and we demonstrate Yindamana, which is respect and honour, to our elders and our ancestors, and for those who have paved the way for the lives and lifestyles that we have today.
A lot more dinner times than dinners. Times are really tough. I recall the parents would go to the beach and fish there, and they'd dig a hole in the sand, and we kids had to be in the sand covered up to our waist to keep us warm on the cold winter nights and while they fished. And often the frying pan came with us and the fish was cooked there and then. Too hungry to wait to go home. Tough times, but yeah.
Barwon River is where we fish. What kind of fish? Yellow-bellied cod. Fish traps. What are the fish traps? The fish traps are where we catch fish to feed our families.
Flour, rolled oats and things like that used to come in calico bags, and they'd have motifs on them, like the teddy bears. I think the Goldilocks and the Three Bears story was common on those bags. And Mum used to make our clothes out of those things. Not just dresses, but our knickers and our swimming costumes and whatever came out of those bags.
Auntie Barb was attending school, but it didn't seem important to her. She wasn't engaged with what she was being taught, except for one thing.
I seemed to have a natural flair for poetry, and I did really well at poetry. Late last night when the whole world slept, Along to the garden of dreams I crept, and I pulled the bell of an old, old house where the moon dipped down like a little white mouse. And I rapped and I tapped and... forgetting the words.
Auntie Barb left school at 14. She began to work, but the memories of the poems she learned and a dream of writing stayed with her.
Worked in various jobs in shops and factories. To cut the long story short, eventually as a mature age student I got to go to university thanks to Gough Whitlam, because I'd never done it any other way. I like to think my life has been pretty checkered, you know, from the camp to the campus and back again. So.
She raised a family. She obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree and a Diploma in Education from the University of Newcastle, and then a Masters of Arts from the University of New South Wales. She taught in schools and universities and she won awards. Eventually, she was given an Honorary Doctor of Laws from Wollongong University. By this time, she was also a published poet and an activist fighting against Aboriginal deaths in custody. It was her support for this cause that she's now linked with her passion for education.
I was contracted to do one-on-one teaching with Aboriginal inmates who had enrolled in that outreach degree. I'd take their handwritten stuff and type it up for them at home and bring it back, and I got more than, I think about, I don't know, 3 or 4 through degree. What I found that they did as well, they wrote creative writing stuff. They wrote poetry. And I thought, oh, even back then, and this is going way back now, and I was thinking, oh, I want to get a book of their poetry out and I'll call it Inside Out. Anyway, one of the lads, he was only about 4 months out from finishing his degree, and he was a really good student, And he got transferred to Junee because I arrived there at Goulburn to see him one day and he's not there, and they told me he's gone to Junee. And I thought, you know, I know Southern Cross wasn't going to cover the cost for me to go to Junee, and so therefore this fellow would be just that close and not finished. So I went to Junee myself, and he finished it and he got through.
A few years later, while on a poetry tour of the Riverina, inspiration struck.
I said, oh, look, what about we get on to Junee Jail, because they might allow us to do something there. So that was the pathway. We really didn't have much of an idea what we were doing there, and it certainly wasn't creative writing workshops or anything like that. It was just us reading.
In the early stages, Auntie Barb came down with another group of writers, and they did a small program, and she contacted us, I think the following year, and asked, to start the actual Black Wallabies program.
One of the people with Auntie Barb on that first trip was Bruce Pascoe.
I don't like visiting prisons, but I've visited shitloads, and I hate going in. I get a horrible feeling. It just seems like a thing that needs to be done to sustain the spirit of our people.
I had funding for 4 other tutors and myself, but only 3 other tutors were available. I had that little bit of money left over. So the idea came up on the trip down to use that extra little bit of funding for desktop publication out, and hence Volume 1.
The South Coast Writers Centre already had First Nation writing programs, and it threw its support behind Auntie Barb's idea.
In the beginning, it was all about the workshops and nurturing, creative writing. We had some leftover money, and so I asked the funding body, Create New South Wales, would it be not a great idea to run with Auntie Barbara's dream and idea to publish a book? And they said, hey, yes, sure.
All you give me is bread, water, Devon. Now my life is hell, but I'm searching for heaven. All you ever give me to eat is bread, water, Devon. I've been here too many years, one more than 7. I'm dying here with nothing but bread, water and Devon. You make me mop the floor till I'm sore. I don't get no steak anymore.
From something that was, I don't know, pretty thin, like this, that thin, to later become something like that, which is probably 3 times as thick, is quite amazing.
Now we've got 8 volumes out. It's just been like topsy. It grew.
Books are so tangible. They are something. They're an artifact in itself, and people love it. And not only the inmates loved it. They really sort of, every time we hold the readings, they see the book and they want to be in the next book, for example. So it has this this power of inspiring to create new ones in itself. That's one thing. But then also it was really so much easier to apply for funding, knock on everyone's door once you had something tangible in your hand.
RMIT has since made a significant financial contribution to the program.
I appreciate the rawness and the honesty, the brutal honesty within the writing, which, I think we live in a world that sometimes, it's too much bullshit, basically. And I think when I read that stuff, it reminds me of that the frankness and the honesty that we need.
We have been written about and written for since the point of first contact. Let's never forget that the way in which colonisers the world over remember and record history significantly different to the way in which colonised peoples the world over remember and record history.
We, the Junie boys, cutting laps of the yard. And this ain't for the weak, this is strictly for the hard. Pay your bills and you won't get got. And don't be a dog or you will get knocked.
I think that the Dreaming Inside, volumes, the writing, is just a really stark reminder of where, a lot of our community are at, and also to the importance of doing the hard work of really getting down into trying to break some of these cycles that people are trapped in, a real hard, slap in the face reminder that, there's still a hell of a lot of really hard work that needs to be done to make our communities healthy and get things right.
If you've got a heart and soul yourself, you instantly know from reading their work and understand why they are where they are. It's all the background stuff. Doesn't get heard about in courts. And it's a shame because that's what needs to be known. It's got to do with that colonial oppression, all of the things that go with colonised peoples.
While teaching reading and writing is not a direct function of the program, it does highlight the need for more literacy programs in jail.
Literacy's enabled me, and reading and and thinking has enabled me to kind of understand that some things that when I was much younger and in a more kind of vulnerable place, because I was younger, I mucked up and could have gone either way. It actually helped me to understand that some of the things that I was experiencing were less about me and more about the things around me, and the circumstances and contexts and things that I was trying to navigate. And I think that was empowering because it helped me to kind of to engage with things in a more positive way.
Low literacy and numeracy skills can significantly impact access to basic needs. Often, Aboriginal people in particular are forced to rely on non-Indigenous people to make decisions for us, to read that documentation and make those decisions for us. And that is not self-determination.
Everywhere I turn and blink, I see my little spirit man stand there and smile. So I start to think, everywhere I walk and go, He's always behind in the shadows, I know. Every corner I turn, the little spirit man got my back. And he's always on my same track. When me and him together, we're stronger than 10 men, and the worstest weather. The ability of the program to connect people to culture is becoming more recognised.
I think culture is a vital component of recovery in Aboriginal communities. Its lack is one of the significant problems for our people, because the rest of the world is telling them that their culture means nothing. So if we don't step in and encourage people to see their culture as important, not just to themselves but to Australia, then we've allowed the invader to win.
It's an incredible program, because it is about, you know, Aboriginal people supporting other Aboriginal people, you know, and empowering people in a space and a place that's really designed to disempower people. So, you know, that was pretty much the reason why I think that it's crucial that it needs to be the way that it is.
The fact that you know, there's programs that can assist with that reconnection or connection or engagement with culture. There's some studies that are showing that can have an impact, a really big impact on their behaviour, both within prison and also once they leave prison.
I think within the prison it's important. The program's given them a voice, an identity, and if they can connect using cultural writings, connecting with their culture in an art form, it's a huge step for them.
We need stuff to keep us in touch with our culture, and that, like, you know, like up in Northern Territory, you see they're still in touch with their cultural heritage and stuff. Like, but we've got hardly anything down here now. So, you know what I mean? Having Aboriginally run programs in jail helps us just gives us a reminder and helps us keep in touch. Yeah.
A lot of the guys that we have, the Aboriginal inmates, I think they struggle with their identity and their culture and understanding their culture, and working on these programs. I think it gives them the ability to learn from the people that come down and mentor, and I think they do a lot of thinking about their own culture, and that comes out in their stories. We've seen guys that may not have ever read a book writing like they've never written before.
I kept it hidden from her, but she knew something was happening, until one night I fell asleep and she found the crack pipe on the table in the morning and we started arguing. Now I'm not allowed to talk to her, and I've been here 2 months and I haven't had any contact with her. Professor Elena Marchetti from Griffith University conducted a formal evaluation of the program.
Aside from the fact that it gave them pride in their work and a sense of achievement, part of it was also opportunity to have a voice and for their work to actually be accessible to people, not just within the prison, but externally. And they actually saw it as a way of inciting change. So one of them even said, you never know, the Prime Minister might pick up one of these books and you never know what might come of that. So it was kind of this sense of activism.
If judges, lawyers, prosecutors and so on had read those books, it may influence how any particular case might proceed through the justice system. And you read up on court proceedings in certain cases, and so much consideration is given to upbringing, early life experiences and so on. But not with Aboriginal people. Bang, you're just done. So, you know, those things should be taken into account when people are being assessed in the justice system or the injustice system.
I'm on the inside. I'm just trying my best. I'm a proud black man. I'm just taking my steps. I rap about my people and my tribe, doing what I can to keep the culture alive.
Makes me proud that I've got work published in a book. I've taken books home and I've shown my daughter and that, and even coming back to jail, I've showed boys like the previous books and said, yeah, that's my stuff. And I even had boys call out to me from another yard a few days ago, and one of my mates was introducing me to a few boys saying, that's the bloke that done them rap songs, you know? Yeah. Yeah, that just happened that was like 2 days ago, literally, yeah.
They get very excited because then, you know, what the mentors instill in them is that, you know, once this book is put together, your writings, you will be a published writer. And, you know, you've joined an elite group of published writers. They get to read some of the other boys' stories as well, some of the artwork that's been involved. And it gives them, you can actually see them pump up with pride that they've done something. They want to send it home, they want their family to see. All of these types of things. They become proud men.
They were very proud of the fact that their work was published in a book. Like, some of them commented about the fact that they would send copies home. One of them talked about telling his mother that he was a published author, and she couldn't believe it. Another one had a daughter take the volume in which his poem was published to her show and tell for school. He felt really, really sort of proud about the fact that she wanted to show off her dad's work.
Early in the piece, you know, they came there just because it broke the boredom of being locked in the cell. They could go there. Now they come not because it breaks the boredom, but because they want to be in the workshop and they want to be in the book, and they're so proud of themselves when they're in the books. And one lad even wrote, I think one of the last things he wrote before he was released, and thank you, aunts and uncles, for making me a published author.
My advice to anyone who is in this same problem is stay true to yourself. As no matter how hard it seems, it isn't as hard as you think.
To be able to find that artist in yourself, to be able to, you know, write something, and you'd be surprised, like the boys would be surprised at what they're capable of. Like, you know, they just have a go, come and bring it up, and no judgment on what they write and that, and yeah.
Due to the culture of masculinities, and also I think the fear of retribution, or the fear that things they say could be used against them, because of that they don't discuss, you know, concerns or how they're feeling on any particular day. And so a lot of them said this program allowed them to offload, and it allowed them to express those feelings.
While we are there, we provide, our very presence there provides a safe place for those lads to fall for that little time we are there. They don't have to be this obedient prisoner. They don't have to be whatever. They can be themselves, and they are very much themselves.
Dreaming Inside is also important because it's a grassroots Aboriginal creative and run program.
Kevin Gilbert always said he did what he did because a white man wouldn't do it. And I think it's very true today. If we wait around for government or white society to do something on our behalf, and wait a long time, and we'll end up doing it on their terms, I think Aboriginal people have to engage with the solution.
It wouldn't be happening if it had been some bureaucratic organisational program. So over the years, it still gets said from the lads that it's so good to have the aunties and uncles come in, i.e. that is the tutors, coming in, because they wouldn't do it if it was some government stuff.
It's good that it's run by elders, because us Aboriginal people, we have a lot of respect for our elders. Like, we're very in close with each other culturally, like, especially coming from an elder, it reminds us that, you know, we're not just crims.
We'll be waking up to this 7 o'clock hell, to the rattle of the keys and a muster as well. Open your eyes to a concrete cell, and if you wake up here, then you ain't living well.
This program, whether it's in a prison environment, whether it's in different communities, there is value to the program, and the fact that we are now going into our 9th year within a correctional environment, which is an extremely long period of time, I think what that has shown is that the program has credibility, and not only credibility through the mentors and people like Auntie Barb, but within the inmates themselves. They are seeking out Jerome to participate. You know, we don't have to go down there and knock on cell doors and ask people to write. They're coming to us and bringing their writings. And credibility is everything within the prison system.
All those lads and women who had died in custody, their lives matter. They matter to all those grieving families. They matter to the social fabric of their communities. So it matters on a multiplicity of levels. Their lives matter. If a little project like this, a little grassroots project like the Dreaming Inside project, can contribute in a small way to that, then it is certainly worthwhile. The project matters much more than I ever envisaged it might. It matters as a forum for unsilencing previously silenced voices, voices that come from the heart. Black Lives Matter.
2021 will see the publication of Dreaming Inside Volume 9. This year, it's been different, as there hasn't been any jail visits by Auntie Barb or the other tutors. But the inmates have been driving it themselves.
We've had a lot of the inmates were asking when the writers were coming. I've had to say because of the COVID that they were unable to attend the census. So the guys started writing. I encouraged them to get involved and to keep the writing coming through, and I didn't have to do any more than that. They did it themselves.
Change doesn't happen in your comfort zone. You're never wrong to do the right thing.
Even though we've not been able to go because of the pandemic, the lads are still writing, and all of that, there's enough, we've got enough in hand for Volume 9 already. I mean, I am so excited that they've continued to do it. And one of the interesting things is that at least half of the contributors for all the manuscripts that I've got in so far are lads that we've not previously seen. They don't want the books to stop, they want the book. So they've demonstrated that they have taken ownership. And I think that's wonderful, because that's where it belongs. It's their work, their books. And I'm so proud of them. I'm so very, very proud of them. They're amazing. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it right. This time I'll get out and find a job. Stay clean every night. Something always stuffs me up and pull me back to this place. No matter all my good intent, I always seem to fail. But this time I'll do it right. This time I won't come back inside. I'll hope and pray, try real hard. Said I'll try real hard. 'Cause this time, this time, God knows I'll do it right. This time,